It's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by.
Boyle Sports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boyle Sports, this is betting.
Two days to go to the Cheltenham Festival, Mr. Groome, and 2 episodes left of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. A very welcome along to the Champ.ie podcast, of course, proudly sponsored by Boyle Sports. Mr. Groome, good to see you. 2 days to go. We've Dex this morning, and of course, you've 3 selections, and I've 3 selections because we both have to play our team captain.
Very much so, yeah, all to play for now. So 1 selection today, and then it'll be 2 for me in our final podcast before the closing off. So yeah, it's very close now, Basil. 2 sleeps, as they say, as the kids say these days. So very much looking forward to it, yeah.
And absolutely, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so. Like the video, and don't forget, we are judging. Judgment Day is coming tomorrow. That hamper, of course, to the value of 500 euros. Judgment Day is tomorrow. I've started to make a short list, Mr. Groome, based on portfolios below. So make sure to update your portfolio for episode 19 and 20. It'd be such a shame now to miss out.
I guess, Joe, it's worth mentioning is that a few people might wonder, why don't we just leave it till, why don't we just let the horses run and then pick the one with the lowest profit? But the whole idea of Ante-Post punting is getting ahead of the market and, getting your bets in at big prices. And look, if the dice rolls for you, then, happy days and the ones click. But the skill of Ante-Post punting is basically getting a bigger price than the horse goes off in the day. So that's basically what we're going to judge it on. Who has the best prices on their book, who's got in at the right time, basically, who's read it correctly or read it the best way they possibly could and is looking in great shape for the festival. And do you know what? That person who wins mightn't be the one who, collects all the money or everything clicks for them during the week. But that's the way we're doing the competition. So I'm very much looking forward to going through them.
100%. I actually have just counting here. I've 8 listed. So 8 portfolios listed. I'm not even going to. Do you know what? I'll mention one. Paddy Connolly has a good portfolio from County Meath, Mr. Groome. I think he's into the hurling.
Paddy won't be sleeping tonight now after with excitement.
He was one of the names I have down. Okay, Mr. Groome, let's crack on with the show. No star ratings as we've seen everything we need to see now, really, at this stage. So we've decided we're going to do a Q&A, but what we've really decided to start this show with is the alternative markets. So Boyle Sports have a full range of alternative markets for the Cheltenham Festival, and we decided to delve into a couple of these markets. I know you've done even more homework than I have, Mr. Groome, but I focused in on 3 markets here, which is the top jockey, the top owner, and the correct score in the Pressbury Cup. But you've had a look at some of the other markets as well. So a full list of them on the Boyle Sports website. But let's rattle on, Mr. Groome. Let's without further ado, let's I suppose take a look at what I think might be the most interesting one, because in terms of value, in terms of the market, a lot of people obviously are going to see that Ireland are going to win the Pressbury Cup. I don't think anyone can argue with that. But in terms of the correct score, what way do we see it after day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4? What does the breakdown look like? And what will the score end up? So obviously there's plenty more prices. That's just the top half of the screen displaying. Last year, Mr. Groome, the correct score was 18-10. Going back to the scores, 2021 was 23-5 to Ireland, 17-10 in 2020. And it was a tie in 2019 with 14 winners apiece. What way do you see it?
Yeah, I'd probably be in the kind of camp of 18-10, kind of 19-9 or something like that. Like, you remember last year, it was 4-1 to Britain on day 1, which was kind of had people, in disbelief nearly at that point. So it can happen that they can have a good few winners towards the start of the week, and then Ireland really ripped through them on the Friday. where it was nearly a whitewash. I think it was a whitewash, wasn't it? They won all the races on the Friday. So I still think it'll be a comprehensive win. I wouldn't go any lower than 18 Irish winners. So I'd be looking towards that sort of echelon, 18-10, something like that. Would probably be, if you gun to head, would be my selection. Yeah.
If you're to look at it day by day, just kind of to say that we have discussed this briefly on the series, and I'll hold my hands up, Mr. Group. Said 16-12. I thought the Brits would close the gap. I'm not so sure. Going down through every single day, looking at, obviously we'll have declarations today for day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival, but looking at it day by day, I've broken it down as follows. I think it'll be 4-3 to Ireland on day 1. I mean, just looking at the Supreme, I think we'll win the Supreme. I think there's every single chance that we'll win the Arkle. The Ultima is a race that, the British have a fantastic record in. The champion hurdle, they'll probably equalise there. So it'll be 2-2 after 4 races. I would imagine that Ireland will take the mares. But then again, the Brits, Love Envoy is a selection I have in there.
Marie's Rock now.
Yeah, Marie's Rock as well. So they have a good chance in the mares. So they may actually go ahead at that point. But then, the Boodles and the National Hunt Chase is they're 2 races that Ireland have farmed in recent seasons. So I would say 4-3 after day 1. I had it 4-3 after day 2 as well. I think it'll be 5-2. I think the Irish then will start to open up. I think it'll be 5-2 after day 3 and 7-0, an absolute whitewash to the Gaels, Mr. Groome, on Friday. And I do think that will leave the score at 28. So in around the same range as what you're saying. Yeah, I would have it that Ireland will win comprehensively, as you say, Mr. Groome.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely. So you've gone 4-3, 4-3 the first 2 days. So it'll be 8-6 after day 2. And you went, 5-2 on the Wednesday or the Thursday. So you've gone 5-2. So it's 13... 13-8 going into the last day, and then you need a 7. You're banking a lot on the old 7-0, the whitewash on the Friday.
I think
you're looking at, I suppose.
I'd be interested to see where the British winner is going to come from on the Friday, because I don't see it personally.
Yeah, I suppose a county hurdle is anyone's play, but yeah, I guess the Irish are always strong in the handicap hurdles. The Albert Bartlett is nearly an Irish, all Irish, isn't it? Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, I'm just looking at the stats. So 7 of the last 10 winners were Irish trained in the Triumph hurdle. Willie Mullins has trained the winner of the county hurdle 6 times. Skelton,
Willie's got the top 4.
The Albert Bartlett, I would say, is a race very much looking in the Irish, looking in favour of the Irish at the moment. The Gold Cup, obviously Braveman's game, the big British Hope Protectorate. I have him in this particular competition as well. But other than that, you're looking at an Irish train winner there. The Hunter's Chase, the Mayor's Chase. So it's a match between Allegory the Vassy and Impervious, and then the Martin Pipe is a race that the Irish have a fantastic record in. Willie has won it 4 times. Jigginstown Stud have won it 4 times as an owner. So I think it could be a good day for the Irish on Friday, St. Paddy's Day. I'll be at a wedding. I won't be at Cheltenham on Friday this year, Mr. Groome. And yeah, I think it'll be 28 if you were to press me. And between 19 and 22 winners to the Irish, I would go 11-8. That's probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
On those alternative markets. Right, Mr. Groome.
Before you go on, Basil, big shout out to your brother-in-law Shane O'Hanlon. But what a man. Went racing with us last year. Good to have a few beers with him and back a few horses with him. But what is he thinking? What sort of racing fan is he? Getting married on Gold Cup Day. What's the story there?
You're the third person that said that to me in the last 2 days, Mr. Groome. So I fully agree. I don't know what. Probably.
He's going to be walking up the aisle watching the Triumph Hurdle on his phone.
It probably was cheaper to get married on Paddy's Day. That's probably why I decided to get married on Paddy's Day. We will move on, Mr. Groome, to the top jockey. Now, Paul Townend, he's 3-1 on, obviously, for the victory. Nico de Boinville, 6-1. Danny Mullins, 10-1. David, we discussed this briefly on last week's show. I think Danny Mullins is the bet here. Looking at his book of rides for the Cheltenham Festival, is there a guarantee that Paul Townend makes the right choice more often than he doesn't? It's not a guarantee. And Danny Mullins, Ilete, Tom, Dysart, Dynamo, Champ Kiley, Flooring Porter. Who does he choose to ride, Mr. Groome, in the Triumph Hurdle? I mean, it'll all depend on which Paul chooses. Obviously, it's a good relationship with Gallagher, but could it potentially open up doors for the likes of Blood Destiny? Would he have a choice there if Paul went Blood Destiny? Would he pick Lossiemount, who his road to victory at Fairyhouse, or does he stick with Gallagher? So he'll have a good ride in that particular race. Princess Zoe, Vauban, he's booked for Sir Alan in the Boodles, which I think is a good, obviously, it's a good booking for him. The Bumper, and then the remainder of the handicaps. I mean, what does he pick up in the handicaps? So I think at 10-1, you said to me off air last week before we did record that 5 would probably be enough to win this. And at 10-1, I'd be looking at Danny Mullins.
I would be as well, yeah. Like you have the Mullins second strings. The only problem there is I suppose Paddy would come in for a few as well. So you're not guaranteed to be on the second string every single time. But as you said yourself, he'll pick up loads of rides for other trainers as well in handicaps like Sir Alan. Like he'll get good rides in the Coral Cup and the likes of that from other Irish trainers. So I think for this bet you want to be at the very least you want to be in action, every day in all the races. Now I did make a case for Patrick Mullins at a big price, but that's you're taking big prices there. But if you're backing one with a relatively good chance of winning, or you think has a relatively good chance of winning, I think you need him in action every day, getting a ride in every race. I think Danny Mullins will be very busy. So if he's not on a Mullins second, third string in the grade ones, he's going to be on a decent and enough chance in a handicap hurdle. So look, I think Townend will probably win it, and it wouldn't be the most attractive looking market to me, but going to head double figures about Danny having a big week. As we said, he rode more winners than Paul at the Dublin Racing Festival. So it just goes to show you, Mullins has got an embarrassment of riches in every race. Paul can't get on the right one every single time, and Danny could be there to pick up the pieces. So you just need the ball to fall your way, basically, with that sort of bet. But I think 10-1 is not the worst price you've seen, yeah.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the top owner, Mr. Groome, because this is another interesting market. And I must say, when I looked at this market, first of all, the one that jumped off the page was Munir and Suede at 100-30. But the more I delved into it, there's not a hope JP gets beat here at 4-6.
Yeah, you just have too many. That's another one where you've got a horse in every single race nearly. You're in all the handicaps. You're even in the cross country. You're in the ELAB runners and the Fox Hunter as well. Like you're represented. You're represented nearly in every race. Whereas Munir and Suede, it's more of a quality, I suppose, over quantity. El Fabiolo, fun.
El Fabiolo, Empere Path. It's for me.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the Munir team, right, for example. So El Fabiolo and Empere Path, that double comes up. That's 2 on the board. But it's for me, Blue Lord, fun. Obviously in the bumper, Hunter's Yarn and whatever else is in the handicap. Zambella, if you want to give her a mention. They have plenty in the handicaps as well. But for me, JP, I mean, look at his team. The likes of John Bon, Impervious, A Dream to Share, now Epitants. And then in the handicap sets, a cow, So Scottish, Thanks for the Help, Comprond, Dino Blue. He's absolutely stacked, Filey Bray.
Yeah, but he could have 4 runners in the handicap, so you're getting the green and white cap and the red cap running for you as well. And
I actually think 4-6 is a great price. As odds on shots go, I think JP will be the top owner, I have to say. I'd have it down as more than a 60% chance now that JP will be top owner.
Download the BOYLESPORTS app and receive generous offers for new and existing customers. BOYLESPORTS, this is betting.
So, Mr. Groome, plenty of other alternative markets priced up by BOYLESPORTS. So you've been digging around and you found a couple of interesting angles in the distance.
Yeah, Not sure about interesting angles, but I'm always interested in these things anyway. As I said, I went back and looked at the SPs for the last 5 festivals and the winning distances, total winning distance for the week, which is actually more interesting. I'll come on to that one in a second. I probably should have been doing more than 5 sample sizes, but I didn't. There's a limit to how much crack I can have on a Saturday night going back through these results. The biggest winning SP priced up at BOYLESPORTS there. So you got 6-4, 33-1 to 40-1 inclusive. And then in a second favourite is 50-1, 60-1, and 2-1. Over 66-1 is a 9-2 shot. And then it's, 8-1, 22-1 to 28-1. Under 22-1 is a 16-1 shot. That has absolutely no chance. So I went back through the last 5 festivals. So 2022, 50-1 in the Coral Cup would have won you this bet. 21, 80-1 shot. Jeff Kidder, touched upon by Davy Boland in our preview. Well done. 66-1, the last 2 after that, 2020 and 19, would have won you the bet. And then 33-1 the year before that. So if gun to head there, the 50-1, 60-1 would appeal to me. That 50-1, the 66-1 would have won in 2018 to 1, or 50-1, 66-1 would have won in 2018 as well. They had 2 seconds. So that's a 2-1 shot. If you're so inclined to have a bet in that sort of market, that's what I'd be going for there. The distance is interesting because I think that this is a trend. There's a narrative here that the festival, people talk about the festival getting less competitive as it is. As in, there's more races now. Horses can get split up. There's a lot of good horses in training with the same trainer, which means races are more uncompetitive. So naturally, when you have more odds on favourites, the better chance of winning by a longer distance. So if you went back to 2018, the whole total winning distance for the week was 94 lengths, 108 lengths then in 2019, 86 lengths in 2020, and then 2021, remember when it was COVID and it was probably as uncompetitive as it could have been when horses just didn't travel for whatever reason. That went up to 151 lengths. But that kind of trend kind of continued last year when it was 148.8 lengths. And I think this is just to do with basically the distances or the way the races have been framed now. So over 130 lengths is a 7-4 shot with BOYLESPORTS. I think you could do a lot worse than that, Basil. If you wanted a bet that basically gives you a run for the whole week, you wanted to have your 20 quid on something that you're going to be live basically until Friday, Just a note on that, and we can confirm this maybe in the comments later, but say if Constitution Hill wins by 35, 40 lengths. Now,
not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. But 30 lengths is the max you can get in a distance bet. So if a horse wins by, something stupid, 30 lengths is the only max. So that's counted as a 30 length win, just to know for people. But as I said, if that happened, all you need is two or three bolt ups, and then a combined, the rest of them combined together should win you that bet. And that's a 7-4 chance with BOYLESPORTS. So I wouldn't put anyone off that sort of bet for the week if that's
good homework on a Saturday night, Mr. Groome. Have to give that to you. That's dedication to the cause. So so we've thrown up a couple there. So you're saying over how many lengths?
Over 130 lengths.
Over 130 lengths, 7-4. The Irish to have between 19 and 22 winners. That's 11-8, and JP to be the top owner at 4-6.
Could I do a quick pop quiz with you?
Can do, yeah.
Can you name these longest priced SPs in the last 5 years? So you should get last year's one, 50
Commander of the Fleet.
Coral Cup.
Commander of the Fleet.
Yes. 80-1 shot. I mentioned him already. You'll know him. In
Jeff
21.
Kidder.
Jeff Kidder. 66-1 shot in the Fox Hunter in 2020. Irish.
It was trained by Eugene O'Sullivan.
Yes, correct.
The name of it. What's the name of it?
It came to pass. 2019, a 66-1 shot. I'm going to have to look this up myself. I only wrote down the initials.
Pop quiz time on the road to Cheltenham Challenge.
We'll leave it at that. I've only wrote down the initials, and I can't work it out now.
Commander
CB.
of what's that?
CB is the initials, and I can't even work it out myself now. But You did well there. Command came to pass Eugene.
Yes, it came to pass in the Fox Hunters. Would be my scene now, Mr. Groome, but Maxine, of course, rode the winner for her dad. Right, next section of the show, we're going to have a look at the viewers' questions, all compiled into one. The big question is the next section.
Boyle Sports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boyle Sports, this is betting.
So, Brian Walker, good follower of the show. Brian, you did make the shortlist as well from my homework. So, I mentioned Paddy Connolly. Brian Walker has a very nice portfolio as well. So, always very solid with his selections, Mr. Groome. A question for Bazam. We'll both answer this. What do you predict the Presbyterian Cup score to be after day one? We've kind of answered it already. I would be surprised if it was a whitewash either way. And I do think that's... it'll be 4-3 after day one. Mr. Groome?
Okay, so I go Supreme Ireland 1-0. I think John Bond will win the Arkle, so I'll go 1-1. British will definitely win the Ultimate 2-1. 3-1 then for Constitution Hill and Champion Hurdle. I think the Irish will win the Mayors. That's 3-2. Ireland will win the Boodles. That's 3-3. And Ireland will win the National Hunt Chase for a 4-3 win on day one.
4-3 win on day one. There you go, Mr. Brian Walker. The best of luck and continue to update the portfolio. Next question comes in from Liam Firkin. And Liam asks, what other creative bet types would you suggest for the followers for the festival week? Have either of you found success with block bets combination TriCast, or are there any alternative bet types that you would suggest having a look at? Personally, haven't landed a combination TriCast, but I do think for the week that's in it, it's 1 week of the year, big prices, savage racing. I think combination TriCasts are nice to do in the handicaps in Cheltenham, because if you do land, you'll find yourself on a hammock over in the Bahamas, Mr. Groome, a week later. So I'm just curious to know, is there anything else that I think top jockey, in terms of the top jockey market, I think if you can find one at a bit of value like Danny Mullins, it's nice to have that running for you throughout the week, provided you get the value. I think 10-1's a fair enough price on that. Other than that, Mr. Groome, I'm kind of looking at, some of the bigger handicaps. Sometimes I'd like to lay a favourite for a place, and I might back two against it in a particular race in the handicaps. Any other creative bets that you'd be looking to?
Yeah, it's good question, Liam. I tend to get involved in probably most of the races, bar like cross country and Fox Hunter. Like, there's different ways you can approach a race. Match bets, I like if I like one horse against and he just happens to be priced up against a horse that I don't like. I'll play that. You can get them; they're widely available. Lay, yeah, I will play on Betfair as well during the week and lay favourites for place and stuff. The ones I don't like at all. I suppose that's gone down a bit downhill in recent years when the races have become a bit more uncompetitive. But I think that's another way in. And the block bets and combination TriCasts, I'd love them now. I have to say I'm a slave for those sort of things in the Coral Cup and the Boodles, where I'll put 2 or 3, I'll put 5 or 6 in and do them in combination TriCasts and whatever. I think you might as well for the crack at Cheltenham. And
if you have a group of lads, Mr. Groome, I think we said this last year. If you have a group of lads going to the races to all chip in, and if you're the likes of the Ultimate, you mentioned the Boodles, Coral Club, big handicaps like that. Group of lads together, chip in, pile together, and do a nice combination TriCast. I mean, if it lands, you're going to have some night.
Yeah, exactly. And like most of these races, you have about 5 fancies anyway, or you fancy 5 or 6 horses. So it's a way of getting them all on side.
It's the week that's in it, Mr. Groome. It's the week that's in it. So absolutely. Next question comes in from Tom Maloney. Now, this is an interesting question. Tom, a good follower of the show. Hi, guys. With so much at stake at the festival, do you think there might be a disqualification due to a jockey exceeding the number of strikes under the new whip guidelines? If there is to be a disqualification, it'll probably be Aidan Coleman on Paisley Park or Derek Fox on Corach Rambler. Anything else spring to mind, Mr. Groome?
Yeah, possibly one of those who needs the full shillelagh. But yeah, it is an interesting question, Tony. And to be honest, geez, if you're pricing it up for a horse to get disqualified, what sort of price would it be? I think it'd be relatively short. I think just in the heat of the festival, there's so much at stake, as Tony says. It seems like there hasn't been. That's the big argument the guys have had. The jockeys, they haven't had long enough to bed these rules in, and they're not used to it as much as they should be. So when it comes down to it, in a champion hurdle or whatever, a Turner's or Grade 1 race, and you're in a battle there, and
I can't imagine Irish jockeys sparing the shillelagh, Mr. Groome.
I know, but this is the thing. I'd say they're afraid of their lives now that they'll win the race on the day, but then 7 days later, or whatever, it gets checked over, and they've gone the 4 over, and they get disqualified. It's not worth thinking about having that sort of feeling, and everyone will know it as well, because I think it's going to be magnified this week. Everyone will be watching on TV and go, oh. So and so went 4 over there.
Just make sure. Trouble. Yeah, interesting question, and I suppose we don't know what way that way is going, or that's really going to go. Of course, we're into new territory very much when it comes to the most ridiculous new whip rules that have come into place. Right, Mr. Groome. The next question comes from Mr. Dudley.
Yeah, quick question. So Anthony's looking at the Facile Vegas race at Dublin Racing Festival, which has been discussed. I've never come across a horse or a race, indeed, that's been discussed more in Cheltenham previews in recent years. But Anthony was reckoned not much has been made of the fact that the horse's jumping went to post towards the end of the race, more or less, and trying to, I don't know, find out what the reason was that for. And to be honest, Anthony, we don't really know, I suppose, because obviously the lameness issue has been bandied about as well. So it could be that, but it also could be the fact that the horse was just knackered at the time and had gone too fast. And when you're tired, you jump poorly. That's just the way it is. The only one who would actually really know that is Facile Vega, the horse himself. So we probably won't get that question ourselves. I will shout out a few, just very quickly, Basil, if you don't mind. I'll shout out a couple of other questions that I saw in the video last week. Shifty Lad was wondering about horses, specifically jockeys that ride over fences, jockeys that ride over hurdles. He reckons there's a big difference in the skill level there, and why young trainers and owners target that. I don't know about that, Shifty Lad, now, but I can see where you're coming from. So for me, like Harry Cobden would be an example of a fella who's absolutely mustered over fences, reads, really sees a stride beautifully. But I wouldn't necessarily not rate him over hurdles, if you know what I mean. Same with Danny Mullins. I think he's excellent from the front in a hurdles race, but I wouldn't not be taking him in the chase race. I don't think the drop off or anything is substantial enough. But I do see where you're coming from. And Carl Mount asked, he's asking about a handicap horse, and would trainers, knowing that a horse is going to go up in the weights, would they train them specifically with, more weight on their back? This question, I think, is a misunderstanding, kind of. Basically, I often see, I feel like this, for me, is a misunderstanding. Like horses, people pay much more attention to the weights horses carry than they should. The key metric for me is the rating. So, for example, like Zana here, or any of those horses at the top of the county hurdle market, they all have to carry 11 stone 12 top weight, but they've been carrying 11 stone 12, 11 stone 10 in grade 1s all season. It doesn't really matter the weight on the horse's back. It matters in comparison to what the weight he's giving away, to weight he's conceding. It's all relative to the weight that you're conceding to other horses. So I think people get caught up a bit too much on the weights. Most horses can carry 11 stone 10 and 11 stone 12, no problem. But can they concede the weight to the horses that are carrying less weight? So I think people, if you're looking at weights and stuff next week, looking at the handicaps, pay less attention to the weight, look at the rating, because that's the one that basically brings everything, whether the horse has won off that rating before or can progress by that rating. That would be the way I'd look at it. So thanks for the questions. Loads of questions under the video this week. So thanks everyone who got involved.
Yeah, and any final questions you want to get in for tomorrow's episode? We're going to be recording tomorrow morning. our final episode, and it is Judgment Day as well. So any last questions you want to get in, make sure to do so, and we'll get them answered tomorrow. It's been a fantastic series, Mr. Groome. It's nearing an end. And the question is, who will be Ante-Post King 2023? Can I regain it, or will you rob it off me? It's time for week 19 selections, Mr. Groome. It's the selections. We've 3 left to go.
Boyle Sports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boyle Sports, this is betting.
As always, Mr. Groome, the honour is yours. Put in your week 19 selection. As mentioned, you've week 20, or episode 20 to get in tomorrow, and you have the team captain as well. So what is your latest Ante-Post selection, Mr. Groome?
Yeah, so I've gone for common practice, Joseph O'Brien's horse in the Boodles on Tuesday. He's not been declared, or he's not been left in at the 6-day stage for the Triumph, so you can be as sure as 90% sure he goes for this race. You never know till the declarations come through sometimes, but he was tried in a handicap last time, so I think that's the route that they're going down. I really like this horse, and we've got a fantastic enhancement by BOYLESPORTS out to 14 to 1. That would be one of my bets on the day for the first day of the festival. Just to go quickly through it, he's a decent horse in the flat. He was rated like 80s, low 80s, one on heavy ground, one on decent ground. Over hurdles, he won his maiden hurdle at Galway well enough. And then he was 4th in the Grade 3 Lossiemouth 1 at Fairyhouse. And he probably would have finished a bit closer there. He made a bit of a mistake late on. And you know, that race has worked out really well with obviously Lossiemouth. Risk Bell was in behind him. Comfort Zone was just ahead of him. Zarek the Brave, probably still a nice horse. So that was a fine run. He was second then in the Blood Destiny at Fairyhouse. Hard to know how much he was gunned up for that day. I suppose that hurdle at Fairyhouse, the Blood Destiny one, but he beat everything else. And then interestingly, really interesting to me, they went for the old Pierce hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was sent off a 10 to 1 shot there, which is a fair price, a fair low price when you consider he's only a 4-year-old racing against older horses. Like for him to be that sort of price, like I'd have 4-year-olds, 25 to 1 shots against older horses, like especially in a handicap like that, very competitive. He was only a 10 to 1 shot there taking on Gaelic Warrior. Yes, you're getting him a 14 to 1 shot here against his own age group again. And a mark of 129 he is in Ireland, but he only got 131. £2 higher for a handicap hurdle horse at Cheltenham is an absolute gift. Mostly they've all gone up by £4. So I think this is one of the best bets of day one, and 14 to 1 is an absolutely fine price. I'm not sure who's going to ride him yet, but Joseph O'Brien at the festival, you don't need to say any more. He's got whatever he's sending over there definitely has a chance next week. Smaller team, but the quality is there, and I think this one has definitely got a great chance in the Boodles. So common practice for me.
Download the Boyle Sports app and receive generous offers for new and existing customers. Boyle Sports, this is betting.
Yeah, so episode number 19 selection for myself. I've gone to the plate on the Thursday, Mr. Groome, and I've gone with Venetia Williams's Frero Bamboo. And Boyle Sports have given us an enhanced price of 12 to 1, so that's a standout. And I think that's more than fair. This horse, I think, will be one of the better handicap chasers in Britain. He's come right back down the weights. Ran a cracker in the Grand Annual last season, went off 6 to 1, and got his ground as well last season, heavy ground. Obviously, with news of rain coming and continuing to come, I think that's probably a positive for Frero Bamboo. I love the fact that Venetia Williams, I thought this horse was going to go to the Grand Annual, and I had him certainly on the short list further again this season. But when I heard Venetia Williams speaking to Ruby Walsh and Lydia on the road to Cheltenham, she mentioned obviously the plate, and her hope was that he would get in. It looks like he will get in now, and he carried a low weight as well, 10 stone 6, based on last year's rating and weights. So if you get something similar, he's going to have less than 11 stone. He'll have a light weight. And if you look at his form this season, obviously So Scottish is a horse that I would have a lot of respect for. He's quite likely race. He's had 3 runs over fences. I think he'll run a massive race. Most of his form is on good ground, whereas Frero Bamboo is going to like, a bit of juice in the ground. It's a £15 swing at the weights. So Scottish has gone up to 143. It's been raised by the British handicapper. He's been given, £5, which I think is, that's a fair old hike, I think. And if you look at Frero Bamboo, he's come down £7 since they last met. So it's a £15 swing. I think he's very well handicapped, Mr. Groome. She's won it before 3 times in the past. I think he's a decent start. He's had 17 runs over fences, so he's had plenty of experience. And I can see this horse going off a single figure price on the day, especially if more rain comes. Could you entertain that?
I could. In fairness, well, you say 17 runs over fences, but none over this distance of 2.5. So he's unexposed to that trip. And for me, for me, he's been crying out for a step up and trip for a long time now. If you watched him in last season's, I actually can chat away about this fella because I was looking at him myself for the plate, but I didn't know at the time which race he was going to go for. But he was third at Global Citizen last year, obviously in the Grand Annual, and looked like he got outpaced there and stayed on over the specialist 2 mile Grand Annual trip on the old course. So I like him up and trip, and I like what they've done. If this has been the plan all season to run him over 2 miles, get the mark down £6 up to 135 up and trip now, with a bit more time at his fences and time to stay and travel into the race, he'd be very dangerous. Yeah, so I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I did not know that this was the plan until Venetia dropped the bombshell on the road to Cheltenham. He was on the short list for the Grand Annual. I mean, if you have him on the short list for a Grand Annual, I think he has to be a big player in this. Stepping up and trip. That's the interesting angle, as you say. And on the new course, I think it's going to suit him. So, Mr. Groome, that has been episode number 19. We'll be back tomorrow with the final episode. We'll be putting in our team captains. And also, Mr. Groome, we will be announcing the winner of the Cheltenham hamper to the value of €500. So make sure and update your portfolios. Make sure you're subscribed, definitely. And do like the video to be in with a chance, of course, of winning that big prize. So Judgment Day, it is coming, Mr. Groome. And we just have 2 days to the Cheltenham Festival. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. This is a special year, and it's a hands full of grace. And it's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by...
Download the BOYLESPORTS app and receive generous offers for new and existing customers. BOYLESPORTS, this is betting.